So, do you have the concept of the 12th arcana? You remember now,
No, we're finishing up the 11th.
Oh, really?
We're finally finishing up those last 10 pages.
Really? And lust, strength. That woman that's willing to fight the lion.
They're correct.
So, now, them last 10 pages pretty much, I almost said metaphysical diatribe, but we don't want to do that. Dealing with the way various theosophies deal with the power of self versus the power of God. Okay? So, you can take the Christian philosophy, which says, do what I say, not what I do. Or you can take the Buddhist philosophy that says, don't step on an ant. Or you can take the Islamic philosophy that says, if they're not Islamic, kill them. Or that isn't quite that bad, but it's not far from it. It's not far from it. You can take the Jain philosophy that calls for purification by fire. You can take any of these various theosophical aspects and deal with it from there, but none of them are, that's what we tell you in Hermetics. What we tell you in Hermetics is none of them are right. None of them are right. None of them are wrong.
But they were flawed.
None of them are wrong. But none of them leave room for the others. None of them leave room for the others. Now, we've been through 11 goddamn arcana discussing the possibility that this concept of God or goddess is non-exclusive, all-inclusive. I mean, it made everything. It didn't just make the Christians. It didn't just make the Hindus. It didn't just make the Jains or the Muslims or the Native Americans or you or I or anyone else. It made everything. See, that's what we've been building up to. This abstractly wonderful concept of a monotheistic God. A God that accepts responsibility for everything, not just the part they lack. You see, that's all the end of that was. That's what he was dealing with. It was like that. And then now as we get into 12, 13, 14, 15, this is like how you make your personal application. To communicate with this fucking egomaniac. You know, to communicate with this thing, this entity, this thought form, egregor, whatever you want to call it, that claims to be responsible for everything. Not just something. So if we need to do a little more on that last few pages of comparative theosophy, I'll do it. Let me know.
Good.
I mean, you understand what I'm saying? It's like a Buddhist may consider a cow sacred, where a Judaic or Islamic individual would consider a pig sinful. There's a major difference theosophically right there, right? When the Hindu Buddhists wanted people to stop eating beef, the Eastern philosophy basically said, you cannot eat that, it's part of me. The Judeo-Christian and Islamic philosophy said, oh, you cannot eat the pig because it's part of the devil. So what he's basically dealing with, and you notice all through the book when he talks about things, he'll be talking about all these wonderful philosophies we have, and then he'll throw in Ramashi or one of these other guys. You know, it's like the basic difference between the Eastern and Western theosophy is the Western theosophy basically proceeds from fear. Don't eat this, it'll kill you. Where the Eastern philosophy goes, don't eat this, it loves you. And it's one of the biggest problems we have in the world today. It really is. You know, the Chinese and the Indians, you can't go as far as Pakistan, that's Islam, but you get into that whole Asian thing, that whole Buddhist Hindu thing. You know, if they want to protest, they don't go running down the street throwing Molotov cocktails. They pour the gasoline on top of themselves and set themselves on fire. Now, I'm not saying that's the right way to do it.
Okay.
But what the point that was trying to be made in them last few pages is that even though we're all seeking the same Godhead, the demographical conceptualization is pretty different. You can't eat a cow because it's part of God. You can't eat a pig because it's part of the devil. See, and so that's not our problem. That's not our job. I mean, what do we care what the humans think? Hey, we've entered this point of the 12th arcana. We've entered this point of Lamed. Yad-He Vahe. Yad-He Vahe. Well, see, there is a position in Kabbalah called Lamed Vav. It basically means righteous man. Now, you have to understand it's a patriarchal philosophy. Do not limit yourself to thinking of man as something with a dick. Man means human. You see? And so this is the Lamed of the Lamed Ba. This is the righteous man. This is the individual that's going to give everything they do not need to support the whole. Everything they do not need to support the whole. But it's the Lamed. It's not the Ba. It's the Lamed. Now, in the process of doing that, there's two ways to do it, once again. Once again, there's two ways to do it. It can be the poison pig or the sacred cow. You can turn around and say, oh, look at me, I'm giving everybody this shit. Hey, am I a good guy? Or you can put the vow there and nobody ever knows where it came from. Lamed Vav, righteous man. This is where the East and West come together. This is the true concept of Lamed. This is the true concept of the hangman. So you've got this card that in a reading, in a divination, would lean towards self-sacrifice. Lamed. Self-sacrifice. But you have to recognize that the concept does not mean sacrifice to the point of harming self. Like self-sacrifice. Oh, I have, and I can only use, and what do I do with the rest of it? That's Lamed. That's the Lamed part of the Lamed Vav. If you go into the chapter a little further, this is a very, very short arcana because it's so simple in its content. So simple, even if you haven't read it yet. It's only a few pages. We deal with this Yad-Hey, Vad-Hey all the time. We deal with this Yad-Hey, Shin, Vad-Hey all the time, right? We talk about it all the time. We're talking about this is the arcana that finally starts giving you control over your space. Because the concept of this card is to take that cross, Yad-Hey, Vad-Hey, and with the Shin in the center, Yad-Hey, Vad-Hey, and change that Shin to an Al. Change that Shin to consciousness. Do away with the concept of the fool that's running around trying to jump off the cliff. And turn yourself into the person that's been over the cliff. This is how the next 11 go. You taking total charge of your reality, of your space. That's what this card is about. It represents sacrifice, but it doesn't represent deprivation. It might occasionally, represent sacrifice to the point that an individual may actually put themselves at a disadvantage because they're empathetic enough for another person. In other words, but they're dealing with the second A when they do that. See, that first hay is weak. On that mystic cross, you got Yad, you got the manifest finger of God, you got the breath, you know, you got the Shin trying to find a way to jump over the cliff before the righteousness can manifest into the breath of life. That's how most religions work, Eastern or West. The purpose of religion, the beauty of it, the wonder of it, is that it has allowed a society on one planet to reach 7 billion people. And for 60-some years now, we've had the ability to wipe the whole planet off the map, and we haven't done it. Do you understand what I mean? There's a consciousness in people, even the bad people. Yeah, I mean, the Russians never hit the button. We never hit the button. The Israelis never hit the button. The Brazilians never hit the button. We hit it once. And it was so goddamn horrible, nobody else ever wants to hit it again. So the things are almost irrelevant. So even with the different demographics and different philosophies, and it's the same with religion. You have fanatics always on any side. Believe me, the average Muslim has no desire to destroy Western civilization. They're trying to learn how to mimic it. You know, they'd like to move out of the tents. It's not based on belief. It's based on knowledge. At this point, we have jumped over the cliff. You are floating free. You will never hit bottom. You will never hit bottom. You will never be harmed. There is no bottom. There is no top. There is no left. There is no right. At this point, we learn to take total charge of ourselves. Being everything that you see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. You can tell I'm real good at it. I just lost everything in a fire 2 weeks ago. What I'm saying is the control of self. This is where it begins. And it begins with that mystic cross. It begins with replacing Shin, replacing the fool with the magician, without, replacing it with consciousness. So from this point on, as you continue to apply your processes, you go like, I am responsible for what I see, smell, taste, hear, and feel. Say, from this arcana forward, you accept responsibility for self. You revert back to the other arcana as you need to fine-tune self. But from this point on, you accept responsibility for self. Something goes blinkers, you go, no, it went blinkers. You see? It doesn't, you can't run around and go, I mean, Aggie and I had been pretty big idiots. Well, actually, the fire department said, well, let me call the Salvation Army and we'll get you everything you need and stuff. No. Leave it for the people that don't know how to control their space. And no matter what happens in an individual existence, it does no good. It does no good to blame anything on anyone else. You know, my lights are really can't see it. I keep hearing birds. Okay. So what I'm saying is the whole concept of this card, the whole concept of the Hanged Man of Lamed is not self-sacrifice. It's self-realization. It's like, okay, I'm fine. You see? Okay, I'm fine. You know, Yad, Hey, Vad, Hey. Have any of you been into the 12th Arcana at all?
I started it.
Started. Did you get to the Mystic Cross there?
Never.
Yeah, I read it all.
Sucker.
It's just, it's like the unspeakable name of God. It's actually the cross that's used in Christian symbolism. Okay? They have Shin in the middle. trying to develop the courage to trust God and jump off the cliff. And this concept right here is when you replace that trust with consciousness, without. So all of a sudden, you have the manifest figure of God producing breath and consciousness. And consciousness. Not curiosity. See, Shin, the fool walking along, wanting to jump off the cliff but not being able to because he didn't have the courage, didn't have the trust in himself, he suddenly jumped off the cliff, screamed like a booger-wooger, screamed, hollered, questioned himself, and finally went, oh wow, it's just a different space. Because there's no bottom. No bottom. There is no bottom. There is no up, down, right and wrong, and whatever. Once you get this thing totally under control. There is none of that. There is nothing but you. There is nothing but you. And what happens is you develop this desire to be all you can be. All you can be. So instead of apprehension about jumping off the cliff, all of a sudden we're going, wow, it's sort of neat, there's no gravity. You know, you want to go up, you go up. You want to go down, left, right, boom, boom. Sort of like being a little balloon or something. And it allows you that freedom. But it allows you that freedom with a very, very specific responsibility. And that specific responsibility is called righteousness.
Righteousness.
Lamed. Righteousness. Now, it's not anyone else's job to tell you what's right and wrong. Righteousness is a very, very, very personal thing. I smoke because, okay, I like it. It's all right for me. None of my kids smoke, or grandkids. If they did, I'd kick their ass. It's a horrible habit. Don't do what I say. Oh, don't do what I do. Do what I say. I mean, do you understand what I mean? Righteousness is self. What is good for you? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? And I'll guarantee you this thing you jumped off the cliff to reach, it'd be very unhappy if you weren't happy. You have to trust self. See? Now a lot of real bullshit has happened over this arcana over the last thousands of years, because this is where the real separation between white and black magic takes place. See, all of a sudden you run into folks that go like, well, I want that. But that happens to belong to somebody else. If you make that happen, that's black magic. And you'll go one more arcana and be reborn. if you allow yourself to deal with these principles and apply them, as long as you stay righteous, as long as you do no harm, you can control your space. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Doesn't matter where you are. You can control your space. But if you take something from someone else, if you step on somebody's toe, the next arcana will get you. That number 13 is a book. Why they call it an unlucky number. I mean, it'll eat you up. But the nice thing about it is you get another chance and you stop back at shit. See? This is the point in occultism where an individual goes, I want to talk to God. I'm not afraid of God. No, God wants to talk to me. This is the point where that happens. This is the point where you stop trying to tell God what to do. This is the point of absolute acceptance of self. This is the point where you remove the concept of wanting to jump over the cliff and put yourself right there and say, okay, it's done, I'm here, I'm going to continue. Sort of a stinker, but it's not that bad, particularly for you three. Thank God I don't have 6 of you tonight, I'd be getting swamped. There are very few people I think even know we're back online. This is the concept of self-sacrifice, but all you're sacrificing is the small ego body. You're just allowing the small ego body to become part of the larger ego body. I fucked up. I'm sorry. What didn't you understand? You too, Kayla. None of you's got it. I messed up. I did not get comprehension from any of the three of you.
All we're sacrificing is our smaller self. But there is no larger ego.
Oh, there is. And what would that be?
I'm saying no.
Well, God has to have an ego if he thinks he's everything.
But ego kind of like has a preference on how it turns out.
I think we're having semantical problems, not rhetorical problems. I think it's the understanding of words that's bugging us and not the meaning of words. The concept of God or goddess, whichever an individual, it's irrelevant. It's an androgynous form. I mean, it's everything and nothing at the same time. It was here before anything was here. It's sexless. It's opinionless. It's without judgment. It made everything. That means it made Hitler and Gandhi both. You see? It made everything. It's got a pretty impressive ego. It really does. It doesn't want you to destroy your ego. It wants to absorb your ego. It doesn't want to change you. It doesn't want you to be unhappy. It doesn't want you to not have anything that you want. It wants to absorb that into self. It's not a conflicting thing. It's a beautiful thing. You still get to be self and get to be in communion with this thing. Every one of us is different. Thank goodness. I mean, wouldn't it be boring if everyone was the same? I can't imagine how boring the world would be if everybody was a drunk. Can I tell you something else? It would also be just as boring if everybody was sober.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And what a pain in the ass it would be if everybody was a man. Or a woman. You know, do you understand what I'm saying? The duality, the opposition is part of it. That's the beauty of it. And you get to be there as your opposing self. You actually get to be part of and all of this thing at the same time you're you. That's what Hermetics is going to teach. You get to be the whole thing. Well, I'm going on a 3-day bike ride. Well, I guess I'm not going to be drunk for 3 days. You know? Oh, I'm going to go sit in cave and meditate. I guess I ain't going to get laid for 3 days. You see, you get to be the whole thing. You get to be in charge yourself. You get to actually control your second child. Get to actually control it. You can actually go, I better not do that. And not have it bother you too bad. You know? You actually get to control all these aspects of self, and this card here is the key to the whole movie. That's why the chapter's so short. He didn't want to give you any extra clues. But he gave you a few. The whole trick is taking Yad He Vav He, Yad He Shin Vav He, and turning it into Yad He Alf Vav He. The whole trick is selfishness. The entire concept is you. No one can do it for you. This is the transition point. I am. And all of a sudden, the big I am goes, whoo, come on. Absolute removal of judgment of self. Unfortunately, once you make the step, you're not allowed to judge others either, unless they definitively get inside your space. That was pretty good. All right, I know you got a ton of questions. I see Kayla over there going, oh, man, the old man's driving me nuts again.
No, you actually made some sense.
What's that?
I thought you actually made some sense tonight.
Tonight? Tonight?
Yeah. It dawned on me that the hanged man, which by first appearances looked like he's stuck somewhere, but he's actually exactly where he wants to be.
Where he has to be.
He has to be there?
In your opinion.
To do the olive?
Yeah. The concept. See, this is where it gets rough. That's why I said questions. You get this concept of this God, goddess, that's everything and nothing. And you got all these little people running around happy and unhappy and every other goddamn thing. See, if they would just allow themselves to be self, if they would just allow themselves to be self, the happy part would be easy. The unhappy would go away. See? The concept doesn't have anything to do with density. The concept has nothing to do with density. Nothing to do with density. The concept is totally etheric. We've got this God, goddess thing. That allows us to be. But this concept is non-exclusive. See, a lot of people say, oh, I understand includes everything, but people have trouble not excluding anything. You see? It's non-exclusive. It doesn't include anything. It doesn't exclude the serial killer. It doesn't exclude the earthquakes. It doesn't exclude that storm last weekend. It doesn't exclude anything. Anything. No matter how positive or negative. It is non-exclusive. It is not capable of being expressed either semantically or rhetorically under any name, be it Gautama or Jesus or Lasso or anything at Muhammad. It is not capable of being expressed with exclusion. The concept does not, never has, and never will say, unless you believe this way, you won't make it. It is non-exclusive. It is inclusive of all. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. Because every time people get right here when we're trying to impress that alf into the shin, you know, right here is when people go, well, everything but, oh, I couldn't possibly stand, or, you see, the real ticket right here. That's why it's called self-sacrifice. That's why it's Lama. That's why it's the hangman. You can't be everything. Excuse me?
What you're sacrificing is judgment.
Absolutely. Hey, Taylor. Woohoo. That's all you're giving up. But it means that Johnny's part of it. That doesn't mean you got to get along with Johnny or stay with Johnny or, you know, play with Johnny. But it means that you got to recognize Johnny's part of it. It means Lady, God rest her soul, part of it. Hell, even Aggie's part of it. It's inserting self, conscious self, into that place of indecision. That's really what Shin is, indecision. Question of self. Lack of trust in self. Fear of self, or something outside of self. See, once you just replace that with consciousness, you just rock on. You just rock on. By that time I'm done with you next week, you will never again fear death. You won't commit suicide. It won't make you do that, but you will never fear it. You won't seek it, but you won't run away from it. See? Self. Because self is not this damn thing. See, that's where we're going, honey. That's where we're going. We're going outside of this thing. Going outside of that thing. How many automobiles have you had in your life, Alan?
A dozen.
A dozen. I'll bet you, I'll bet you, Kayla, I'll bet you, your spirit, has had way more than a dozen bodies. And see, to your spirit, your body is nothing more than an automobile. If you allow yourself total communion with self, what's wrong with a new car? Anyway, I don't want to get into next week too early. Everything is good. See? Yeah. I had people call me on the phone and say, oh, that Sandy is part of the 2012 thing. I said, the 2012 thing is going fine. It's going fine. It's going fine. We have more awareness right now than we had a second ago when I started this sentence. And it's happening all over the planet.
Yeah.
The only problem we have remaining is frigging judgment. No, I don't like this person because of this, or I don't like this, or I don't like that, or this, or that, or that, or that. That's the only problem remaining. We're hoping that that manages to go away a little bit, or at least start going away here in the next 2 months, month and a half. You know, my job is to make it go away in you right now. What can you do? I mean, what can you do? You know? You can't do anything about it anyway. I mean, you can't do it. The only way you could do anything about it, I'll tell you one way you could do something about it. Put that Alf in the middle of the mystic cross. Become part of the big picture. You're still allowed to be you. You just have to do it without judgment. But that doesn't mean you can't continue doing everything you're doing. You just go like, well, no. But you don't do it because this is right or wrong. You see, you have to be self. See, these theosophies that run around and say, oh, you're supposed to be this or you're supposed to be that, if that's not you, you can't do it. You cannot become the I am unless you're you. You have to be self. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
What's our homework?
I got homework for you. Ten and 2. Two and 10. And it's in the book. It's in the book pretty clearly. But you're going to have to extrapolate a little bit for me to accept the answer. 10 and 2 versus 2 and 10. You know, the priestess in the wheel versus the wheel and the priestess. All right.
When do we start
Love
reading
you all.
13?
What's that?
And then start reading chapter 13?
Oh, yeah. 12 was real short. I mean, if you didn't read it, it's only like 6 pages. I mean, you got the whole thing, believe me. But read chapter 13. That one's probably going to take 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's the death card. That's the concept of death.
Lucky 13.
It's also the concept of rebirth. So we'll have a real good time with this. Okay.